Hello, recently I've been wondering if it is really possible to survive successfully, or let's say having a gameplay experience that is successful on Conan Exiles while being forbidden of crafting your very own crafting stations and other gear that is above the, let's call it tier 0. There is the coarse clothes as well with the stone tools and weapons. Well, I did that experience this time on Savage Wilds. I'm in the progress of doing that for the Exile lands, but I found my answer on the Exile lands quickly. Alright, if you are a very experienced player, it is possible to even finish the game there on the Exile lands without going for like the higher tier things. And the quick answer to that is some guy who actually did a speed run on the Exile lands. I think in less than 2 hours or something like that he finished the game, so for me that's enough of an answer to say that yes, it is possible to quickly finish the game without going for more complex things. And I tried here on Savage Wilds, not really speedrun, but I wanted to be quick to find the answer, to see if it will be possible to advance through the map and through my character's progression without being able to, for example, I forbid myself of crafting storage chests, of crafting other crafting stations besides of the campfire, okay, the basic things, so I could cook meat and not get food poisoning, alright? And also I want to mention before anything else that I just use the Savage Wilds modded map as well with the RA character creation mod to make my character look slightly different than we are used to see in the base game. That did not affect my gameplay at all. Also, I've enabled the fashionist mod that I didn't end to use, okay? I wanted to eventually dye for free my coarse clothes, but I eventually forgot about that, so it doesn't matter much. So I also want to say that to test this out on this Savage Wilds map, which I strongly advise you to try just in case you play on the PC version, at least on Steam. Anyway, I tested this out with the normal values on the server settings, so I did not change the experience gain or the harvesting rates. I just kept them like they usually are. I really only changed very few things like the crafting speed, okay? So I could be quick on what I was doing, so I could craft things, yes, really quickly, but other than that it will not prevent me from having an harsh experience in certain parts of this map, of course. Nonetheless, so I started my thing here by picking up the basic stuff that we all do back in the Exile lands. For example, I still need to test this out with Isle of Sipta eventually. And then I remember, well, it's been a long time since the last time I jumped on this map, and lots of things have changed or were added and improved, okay? So, map creators, thank you so much for your hard work putting into this thing, because this map impresses me a lot and reminds me, of course, a lot of the Exile lands. In a way, I think that was on purpose, but other than that, I think there was a lot of creativity involved on the making of this map. And like in the Exile lands or maybe in the Isle of Sipta, when you see shipwrecks, okay, parts of ship, you know that you will be finding almost for sure loot chests, alright? And I found some little treasures right in the beginning, and then I proceeded eventually to craft the most basic things, handcraft them, okay, so the things that I could, and then I was wondering if I could survive off the land, let's say, of the things that I would grab And how could I evolve my character's gear like this if I only add like stone stuff and coarse clothes? Well, there is a way. You should be looting the loot chests that you'll find, for example, in points of interest, or killing human NPCs to get a chance of getting better gear. That's my workaround to make me preventing from crafting stations like the armorer's bench and so on, the blacksmith and such. And I really wanted to test out if I could survive for long in these lands. And when I mean surviving, doesn't mean that I won't be dying a couple of times. I mean, if I could keep going with my progress, my character progress in this map, if I did not craft those crafting stations. And if that was possible, well, likely. So I advise you to keep watching until the end and see what I could do eventually. Of course, my gameplay, I don't think it was really the best of me. I'm a little rusty on when it comes to normal gameplay, because mostly times I've been just launching the game to make special videos about it to show you, and other than that I think I should practice more in a few things that I was used to before. But anyway, the beginning, the early game is not that tough unless you go for like places that are really tough, you know, with plenty enemies and such. Okay, some of them are really tough with you. But if you find, for example, an enemy alone, you even manage to have enough time to think how are you going to kill it, alright? And sometimes, you know, I struggle to get actually proper loot from them, but I guess that can happen, okay? It's really a matter of luck. And one thing that I find fantastic, and I'm glad that the developers added that finally the ability of crafting a little LOE potion that will eventually help you a lot in the beginning at least. So the weak LOE extract. Back in the days, if my memory doesn't fail, we were not able to craft LOE extract without the use of a fireball cauldron. But then they eventually added this ability of crafting a weak LOE extract that you can get in the very early game, because it's extremely cheap, alright, with some LOE, and you can make a few of these, alright. And I also usually carry those things, those wraps that are the most basic ones and the weakest ones that you can also handcraft, but with plant fiber instead. So they are extremely cheap. They can be actually quite useful for you in the early or even in the mid game. And I know that the animation of bandaging yourself can get you killed eventually in the middle of a combat, and the potions drinking things to help you regenerating yourself are much more safe and faster to perform. Alright? But why do I usually carry a bunch of these healing wraps, okay, the basic ones? Well, the reason for that is because they do not only prevent bleeding, but usually I bleed in the middle of the combat, so sometimes it's not possible for me to stay away, far away enough from my enemy to heal myself, to bandage myself and stop the bleeding. So what I do is usually to just drink a few aloe extracts and then see if the bleeding stops over time. Okay, with some luck that happens, and later I can bandage myself. And bandages are good, for example, when you are missing a few health points in your bar and you want to save up your potions, your healing potions, and you just stay away from things that you find a threat for you eventually, and you can bandage yourself safely in a safe place, exactly. And even if you have to apply 2 or 3 bandages, they are pretty cheap to make, and yes, definitely you will save up your potions for later. Eventually I went to a place where I remember to go to, which is exactly here in this sort of ruins. Before I actually recorded some gameplay, I just took a look at it because I did not remember what was there before. So I came across with a shellback boss, alright, with more than 1,000 health points. However, when I was testing this thing for real this time, when I was recording this, there was this little ship back in here sleeping, so it's kind of, let's say, it's way less dangerous than the boss. But I actually got myself ready to fight the boss that was supposed to spawn in here, so I believe that it does not spawn all the time, alright, like bosses used to do in the same areas. And I found this smaller, not that small, enemy to fight, and it was pretty easy, even though I got slightly hurt. Sometimes I'm not that careful. But I was ready to kill the shellback boss with plenty arrows. Yes, I crafted the most basic bow and arrows to kill a boss, and that's possible with some patience. I'll just climb up these ruins, the structure, and will kill it easily, okay? And then wait for my stamina to get back to its normal let's say to its normal values almost, in order to keep shooting arrows at the shellback's head or back, yes. But well, anyway, I've saved up those arrows for other enemies later, okay? And yes, it is possible, and it was already proven by some players, I'm sure, that you can defeat a boss with weak things, with weak gear. However, certain enemies, okay, with lots of health points, like, yes, bosses, and not only bosses but also certain NPCs, it happens in this game something strange, that sometimes you keep, not really strange, but these weak weapons and such sometimes just don't take enough, just don't do enough damage to tough enemies, okay, with the good defense. And even if you spend lots of arrows or do lots of hits with, let's say in this case with stone weapons to those enemies, their health bar doesn't seem to go down like ever, or if it goes down they will recover back their health really quickly because you didn't do enough damage for the bar to go down, alright? So eventually I've kept going in my journey, and I usually spend lots of attributes points on the grid part, okay? Because I think it's very important for you to recover stamina fast, or actually lose less stamina while performing certain actions, okay? That can save your life while in combat, for example, or while climbing things up. Of course, spending points on vitality, maybe on strength too, is also important, so sometimes you need to really distribute the points of the attributes, otherwise you can be screwed. But I think there are many different kinds of builds, including the attributes choices that many people can go for, so I just go for the ones that I think it just fits my playstyle. In this case it may not be the most adequate ones, but I think still grit is quite important for me in this case because I wanted to be fast, okay? And eventually I run up through this river, alright, to reach to what I thought it was like a point of interest that I don't really remember to visit back in the past. Probably it was changed or added eventually. On my way I kept gathering basic resources, but I was having a little trouble to manage my, you know, my encumbrance limits, my weight limit on my inventory. It was not easy for me, but I had to discard a couple of things on my way, and then I remember that I'll not even use some of those basic resources because I could not allow myself to craft crafting stations like furnaces or anything to smelt some iron. But eventually I could even find iron bars in loot chests or in corpses. So let's see, I don't need this now, so I will discard. I was thinking not only about my character's future, but actually mainly the present. My character's present was the most important for now. So I kept grabbing many things on my way, like plant fiber, because I knew that I will need a lot of plant fiber, but also aloe vera. And where there's a river, there's usually aloe vera around, depending in which biome you are at, for example. So then I kept swimming, and a great thing nowadays about swimming is that if you don't press the shift key to swim faster, you will recover your stamina pretty fast. So for example, when you are in combat near the water, and the water is deep enough for you to evade temporarily from your enemies, what you can do to recover stamina fast is just to go for a swim slowly, and you recover your stamina fast. Later in the game, kind of late in my case, I remember that I could also recover stamina faster if I just drink a little bit of water. But I forgot about that I could do that, so I just would walk slowly away from my enemies and try to recover stamina while eventually getting hit badly, and that put me in some trouble at times. Alright, so yeah, it says that we can learn before making mistakes and to prevent mistakes, but sometimes sadly we also learn with our mistakes that sometimes we eventually keep doing. But anyway, so eventually I kept trying to level up myself through my way, because that's very important. So the more level, the more experience you gain, the more attributes points you will have to put into any of the categories that you wish. About the feats, I've unlocked very few things, okay, pretty much the basic stuff, because why would bother with unlocking other things unless it was things that will allow me to fix gear pieces that I could find on my way, you know, higher tier pieces. Anyway, I kept going with this, and either in this map and sometimes also in the Exile Lands, you have to have lots of patience to climb up. This map has lots of hills and mountains, so you really need to have the will of climbing up. And sometimes I would find silly enemies on my way that would just stand still, so I could just waste, or let's say spend all my arrows on them without suffering any damage. Alright, so that will make my life easier, and I would level up like this. So you just need to find a higher place where you can stay, because enemies do not climb things, and I hope the developers don't remember about putting like spiders climbing up through rocks and walls, because that will be really creepy. Please don't. I think I just gave them an idea. Don't do that, please. Don't make this jaguar even smarter. Okay, it just stood here and I was able to collect even a head and such. So sometimes it is worth for you to stop on your way, so you can complete a couple of basic journey steps, because I think by completing journey steps you also gain some experience points, I believe, which was really important for me, since the experience points values were like in the normal value. I did not really change that, so I was playing the game almost in vanilla mode, let's say that. Also, one thing that I could not forget would be to place a spawn point in certain areas. So if I died a little ahead of where I'll put a fiber bedroll, could quickly grab my gear back. Yes, the loot drop on that option on the server settings was active, so to make it even more realistic, yes. So I put the fiber bedroll around certain places, especially where I had to climb up a lot, because I could, mess up a little bit and allow my character to run out of stamina and could not grab the rocks anymore and could fall to my death, for example. Okay, it's those stupid deaths that I've experienced before and could happen again. Or maybe I could just be nearby point of interest with very savage enemies, so I decided to just put fiber bedroll wherever I wanted. And I could even go and handcraft one of those wooden beds, which are also cheap. Fiber bedroll is even easier to make, but the good thing is that at least here you are able to craft and spawn, to place down a fiber bedroll, and spawn in it as many times as you wish. Back in the past, back in the old days, I don't know if this is actually part of this modded map, but I don't think so. I don't remember, but I need to check that out. So back in the days, I really remember that once I've died and spawned in my bedroll, that bedroll will be automatically destroyed, and if you quickly died again, you would end in the noob area, okay? If you did not make another spawn point, another fiber bedroll quickly. Now once you die and spawn in your current fiber bedroll, well, it won't get destroyed unless you place a new one, which is extremely useful and makes you saving up a few extra basic resources. So eventually I landed in another point of interest, but this time with human NPCs, which seemed to be actually quite easy to beat. But remember that I have the most crappy gear ever, because it's the basic things, since I'm living off the basic stuff. And you can see that these enemies are likely level 1, max level 2, so they are easy to beat, but I decided to be extra careful with these, because as you can see they have better gear than me. And eventually I also decided to waste lots of arrows, and when I got tired I would face the enemies face to face, alright, not from the top. But it was really funny to play around with the arrows against this enemy, because he kept screaming and then he crossed his arms like, I don't care anymore. Alright, I just ripped his head off, and then you have another assistant coming in too late. And this time I wasn't that successful with the arrows, and she just left the place. You will find a couple more enemies in here, so you had to be careful if you were going with these stone things, because if it happens for you to fight more than 1 or 2 enemies, you just really have to be careful, okay? Even if it's just easy enemies. anyways, I decided to face her, even though she had what seemed to be an iron mace or something. So still basic things, but I could not craft those. So I just went and made her bleed with my stone tools. And as you can see, the bleeding effect stacks, which means that it is likely that she is going to die soon. I wasn't very careful here because I still got hit, but yes, so the fight was successful for my side, and she even dropped a pirate song that I barely read. I just opened it, but anyway, I was able to not only level up, but also to get a very cool Lemurian warrior piece, yes. And which I actually used through the rest of my gameplay time here. Even though it was already kind of worn out, I was able to keep it up for as long as possible, which was amazing. So this is a piece of medium armor, so gave me a little of a defense boost. I didn't want to mess with those cultists, those their Keto crazies down there somehow, because probably I'll find a boss or something. So I kind of just try to play around with these enemies here on the top of the structure, not really on the top, just on the entrance, let's say. But then there were 3 of them, so I'm kind of, no, I need to use a better kind of tactics for this. So once they got back to their previous location, I decided to just go and climb up some rocks and try to attack them from there with my bow and arrows. However, they will be like all together, and I'm like, probably I won't be having enough arrows, and with this kind of aim I won't have any success. So maybe it's time to go down a little bit. I'm just interrupting their workout, yeah, their forced workout. Anyway, I went down and let's see what is going to happen, because I'm still spending arrows at this point. And yeah, okay, they are here waiting for me. So why I'm still using this, because I didn't want really to get hit by the tree all at the same time. So yes, I decided to wait for the others to stay away a bit, and then I just tried the melee weapons instead. I was kind of thinking that it will work. Okay, if I did this better, if I did this differently, it will work successfully, you know. And then I've got this stone maul from the first enemy that I found, which is really useful. So I think these sorts of weapons, like slow weapons, or even these little weapons, for example the stone maul in this case, or other warhammers, and even the daggers, sometimes they are underestimated by some players, but they can make lots of damage when used properly, okay? And for example, the stone maul can really eat the 3 enemies at the same time. However, I kinda got stuck and didn't do this successfully, which was a shame for myself, because I knew I could kill them all if I did this better. So I think I should be getting back there and quickly grab my loot, my gear. alright? That is the only thing I have, because I don't even have a little base. So after lots of climbing, here I am again trying to get my gear back without getting hurt again by those enemies. And don't forget that once you die, you won't be respawning in your full health, okay? So you need the things that you had back before you die to heal yourself, unless you've picked up something to heal yourself on your way, which wasn't my case, okay? I just wanted to rush here and I just pressed F, I still got hit and ran away and found this rock, okay? This is the game of climbing. In this case, I just climbed so much to save my life so many times in this experience that I was really tired of climbing things up. So in this case, I'm trying to use like things that are not aloe extract, because I wanted to save up any that I've had, if I had any still. Yes, I had some. I've just used the wraps instead, because they are a great alternative for when you are away from the enemies. You have enough time to bandage yourself, which is an action that takes a while to happen. And you can spend lots of these wraps because they are extremely cheap, even though they are weak. You will see how not so effective they are if you spend attribute points on the vitality part. But for now, I was good enough with this, and maybe ready to fight again, who knows? So the NPCs that I've killed before were already back from the dead, and I started wasting more arrows again for whatever reason instead of facing them. And I'm back to the story of hitting enemies constantly with the bow and the arrows. Actually only the arrows. But eventually I lost my patience and I decided to face my enemies. And I think it was like a bad combat time because I was dumb, okay? I let myself hit by mistake, but you know, well, I just at this point I wanted to get rid of these ones so I could fight the other ones and just advance through this point of interest. So I used different weapons on this warrior, and finally she's down, even though it was a waste of healing things, healing items in my case. So it doesn't look like I played this game for a long time if I keep doing this, but then I still got a prize that was just some Lemurian boots, and they have a much higher value than my coarse foot wraps, so I discarded them right away. I decided to craft a couple more arrows just in case. And let's see if I'm gonna keep fighting these enemies, of course. And let's see what's gonna happen next. Of course, I let myself getting hit again. And I just decided to go with the daggers to make them bleed. But it doesn't happen all the time, of course. And I don't know why I did not dodge here. Okay, I dodged once, but okay, then I sundered the enemy and such. I I'm really enjoying a lot these heavy weapons, you know, these stone mauls or whatever, warhammers. Even if they make you performing a slow attack, they just pack a punch, let's say. And then finally it just bled out and dropped just a couple of things, nothing special, but probably I will need those little things. And then I decided to just go up here to see what was going on in here. And it's like just 2 enemies up here. Yeah, maybe I just can kill them. And I wonder if that one at the right side was really a boss or not. But I think this one was just a common fighter. Yes, it was an archer, which probably had better aim than me. But anyway, I decided to do something since we are up here. Yeah, that works pretty well. Sadly, it just didn't kill them, but it's still funny to watch, you know. So now I can have a more peaceful view of the rest of the point of interest that I'm in. Eventually I decided to go down a bit, but I did not even have the guts to fight more enemies here somehow, which was really silly from me. I just decided to go down and to actually explore this place a little bit and see if I could quickly loot like a loot chest or something. And there was like some sort of chest in here that it's not functional, only decorative. And then I had these guys here. I needed to learn the Master Armorer to unlock that feat from that book, so my trip here was kind of useless, except to get better gear and level up a little bit, yes. So I decided just to run away from this place somehow. I didn't want really to die again. I wanted to explore something else, okay, somewhere else new. And actually I don't think this point of interest is really new. I think one of my last not so successful streams, I don't remember, I think I went here and I fought some of those enemies, but I'm not sure if it was on that point of interest. I just know it was here in the jungle. Eventually I didn't play that much time, so yeah, excuse my memory. Later I found more ruins of what appeared to be some sort of point of interest, but there were only gazelles here, so I think I should not worry much about this area unless there was like a big enemy nearby. But probably would try to kill them or something. And I discovered something, and from what I remember, this should be a location where I could teleport myself to one of the fast travel points of the map. And yes, finally I've unlocked the first fast traveling point. Some people say that fast traveling ruins the immersion because you don't end to experience going through the locations over again and such. However, it can be a nice help eventually, but for unlocking, for discover the other locations, the fast travel points, you need to explore, okay? And to actually fast travel to all the places except for the Murren outskirts, you need to pay for coins. So
Keep yourself safe.
put these into your quest list of your journey here too. I decided to fast travel to the place where the game could take me for free, because I'm still kinda poor at this point. Drink a bit of water and check out the area.
You buying?
And then I remember, yes, this map has vendors. I even remember that I've done a video about this map a very long time ago, so I suppose at this point that a couple more things were added around these areas. Obviously, I did not buy anything from the vendors because I was still trying to save up some coins. And then I decided to enter inside of this town, and then I was wondering why these NPCs weren't doing anything. Then this quickly reminded me of the Sepermeru city, the city of relic hunters back in the Exile lands, where mostly part of the NPCs in there are like really neutral. They won't attack you unless you attack them. And some of them will actually attack you on sight, but other than that, I felt safe inside of this town here. And I even met Valeria here, so she's asking for one thing, for one paper, to give you gold coins in exchange. I think it's one of those reports that you get from corpses, even back in the Isle of Sipta, if you ever try that map. So yeah. So I kept gathering a couple of things here and exploring, and then I've seen more NPCs talking with each other and a bunch of vendors. And then I remember the Sepermeru city has a few loot chests on the top of the structures, of some of them. So at this point I found another piece of gear, which is actually the Relic Hunter Turban, which I will be with for a long time through my journey, alright? At least I got some head protection for now. And then I've spent a couple more attribute points in a few things. I found a couple more chests. And then I kept finding spots with traders for many things, like pets, food, and even gear. Alright, so you find a bunch of NPCs here trying to sell you things. A few of the things you can find through the map, of course. Here is just a faster thing to obtain if you have enough money for that, of course. And the map itself has another currency that just the bronze coins that you can spend in a lot of things, alright?
You need something, Exile?
So sometimes you can easily craft these things and don't need really to spend these coins, so always buy after thinking twice about what you are going to buy.
Come
and
back
if you
anytime.
can obtain that easily, easier than you can obtain coins, of course. The more I walked, the more traders I would find, and also tough looking NPCs. I even found some sort of elite NPCs sitting here appreciating the nature. I believe that you can capture them, but then I think you will have the whole town against you. So I didn't want to check that out, first because I did not have a truncheon, and second because I didn't want to get myself instantly killed. But there's only one way to find out, I guess, if that works. So anyway, I kept exploring this town, and I found a place with little spiders nearby that should be a sign that something could be happening around here. And I've put myself inside of what could be a clothing shop. or a silk vendor, yes. And I found the decoration very interesting. I think it's really creative. And then I needed a key to get into that place, which I did not have. So one more quest to my list. And then I kept finding a few more things. I decided to get out of that Moron town and quickly found another point of interest, which was similar to this one, the Moron Gates, and here you'll be finding a few more things. And I even found coin traders. And I kept finding stuff, interesting stuff on loot chests. But eventually I stopped looking for chests here because of my issues with the encumbrance. Okay, so at this point my inventory was pretty heavy and I think that I should really start putting some points on the encumbrance attribute. Well, eventually, yeah. It was kind of tough to get rid of a few things, but yes, again I had to double think if I would really need these items because I could not use crafting stations, alright? Eventually I kept exploring the places around and found Moron Garrison, which was, let's say, another section of the town. And here I've found more traders, alright? And I was really tempted to buy a bow or something, but let's see. Nope, not really. I probably will look for those things through NPC's corpses or something like that. I just know that I was over encumbered again and had to manage something on my crazy inventory, which was very not so organized. Okay, it was just a mess and it was making me upset at this point, but at least I brought something good from these cities. I found just a couple of more gear pieces. Anything was better really than going around with coarse clothes.
What can I get you?
After all, I kept exploring this area until I found an interesting place to go to. And I could hear these weird noises from NPCs, and just randomly I've pressed enter in this door to see what was going on, and I've found myself in some sort of a restaurant, the Notch and Arrow, or whatever this was.
What will it be?
We've got
guide your steps.
some
But
people
can I get
here
you? Come again,
selling you things. And we have here the barkeep or bartender, whatever. And I found this place to be nicely decorated. It was really cozy in here and I felt really safe in this place. This place has a story to tell, One Hour Road Town. I'm not sure what it is. If you'd care to read it, I'm sure you can find the pages scattered around. Yes, maybe sometime. And this is a really nice place. And then I found myself in the Hall of Heroes with some interesting looking statues from warriors wearing some cool armor sets from the game. Really cool. And then something that haven't seen before, I've never seen before, anything like this in Conan Exiles, alright? The Wheel of Memories. This is very interesting, and eventually I had to change something on my key bindings. Alright, so I decided to take a risk and hoping I'll not die if I fell down, but there's just a couple of ways of finding out, or you see or ask someone else what happens if you fall down, if you really die, or just get teleported back to where you were before, or if you try it yourself. Anyway, I just kept jumping on these floating things here, and yeah, I kind of almost fell, but then had to climb as if I wasn't tired of climbing, and found myself with an area that will teleport you to different areas, yes, and some of them were still locked, so no idea how to unlock these. Maybe through the map I will, but this is so interesting and I'm so excited to know what's behind this portal, so I tried to go through both. This seems to be like memories from people, from warriors that probably are just dead, and now you're living their memory. And you see a bunch of dead boars in here, kind of a creepy place. And then there's the scout's note, which you can always read and understand a little better about this part of the lore, okay? I totally recommend you to read the lore, even though that may not influence much your gameplay, but it's always an interesting part to spend your time on, okay? At this point I did not have yet a torch, because I did not have any idea that I will go through such dark places. Later I've crafted a few. And I wonder what I could find in here, if it was like something good or bad or both. Maybe both things, yes. So I have no idea what's going on in here, but I could not climb these areas, which means that probably I will have like to fight a boss nearby, and climbing is a defense system for me. So nope, not gonna happen here. So eventually I decided to grab a few more materials and put some torches on my hands and keep going through this area so I could see better now and see what's going on down there. Okay, I want to know. And then I've seen a tiny boar walking around. I just left it alone and kept going until I've seen something that had 400 health points, and I was wondering if it's just the little boar mama. Definitely it was a boar. The attacks are quite predictable, you know, the time that it is going to attack you, kind of. Anyway, after I was done with this boar, I kept going and found a location with a couple of spike traps. They were easy to detect, so I had to be careful while walking, because I've realized that I could not climb up any of these rocks. But it is really easy to pass through this, okay? You have a few spaces in here, so not a big deal. And then I found something. I found a loot chest. Actually, two of them. with basic resources, yes. That I could not really just carry that much because of encumbrance issues, yes. I just took what I found kind of more, let's say, expensive and left the place. And eventually later I found a couple more boars. And I kept going. I found a place with more blood on the floor and like a little crystal cave. It's so pretty. And I decided to just pick up a couple of crystals because I could not carry many more things at this point, of course. And I was wondering what will be in the end of this little cave. More blood. Okay, something's going on here and it doesn't look any good. So I see this big lake and an interesting looking place to explore, it seems, and a little hut. And then I see this monster of a crocodile, okay? And this is something you don't want to mess, especially when it's a 3-skull boss that seems to move slowly and then it just goes crazy, okay? When you think it's going to quit from chasing you, that's when things get bad. And nope, that's a big nope. I've seen how much health it has, so... And the silly thing from me is that I don't know if it's something recent. Okay, I tend to miss a lot or forget a lot the news of games when there are big patches. Okay, I read everything that comes out, but then I end to not remember when developers implemented this or that, okay? And I didn't notice when they added the option to be able to see the health bars with the numbers on enemies that we did not hit, and I was playing with that disabled all the time. By having this option enabled, it saved my life a few times and it's so useful. So yeah, I'm gonna go with these health bars visibility enabled like forever now. Whenever I need, I guess. The big croc went back to its place and I could just slowly manage my inventory a little bit, kind of, once I looted this loot chest, but I decided that it is not worth to try and lose another life to this giant beast and see if I could go somewhere else without having to kill it. And then I've seen an area which seemed to be like a dead end, I'm not sure, so I just went up. And I was really scared at this point, okay? Yeah, I was. So I've seen this, and I could not climb this up. And I thought it would quit from chasing me, but no, it kept going up the hills like crazy, and I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna jump off. And I think I'm just gonna jump down there and get back to the other place I was before. I just didn't want to go here. I was terrified. So goodbye, and maybe next time I'm gonna have another sort of experience once I feel strong enough, you know, to kill that beast, but not for now, okay? Maybe there are rewards for killing it, likely. And then I entered on the other portal that was available. This time I've seen a couple of neutral NPCs just standing there like they were pieces of decoration, and I decided to go down the hole and see what was waiting for me, if giant crocs or anything else. I don't know, so I decided to give it a go. and before that I found this note talking about tigers. And okay, tigers, so I'm gonna find tigers, alright, or at least one, a big one, like a tree-skulled boss tiger or something, I don't know, but they talk in plural. They talk in tigers, not one tiger. So let's see how it goes. And this part down here reminds me a bit of the wine cellar, when you have to go all the way down after fighting that drunk boss. And kinda dark too. And there is an area over there with loot chest. I just wanted to double check if that was not a trap to attract me. So, you know, in the dark it just things look even creepier. And I can hear a roar. That means trouble. Okay, and it's a boss. A tiger boss. One skull boss, but still tigers and other big felines in this game. Like, their attacks are very fast as well with, you know, you just start running and they start laughing. And they start joking with you when they see you start running away from them, because they know that they are much faster than you are. And then they just jump. They don't really care about the NPCs here. I thought I could attract the tiger to them so they could help me kill it, but no. So I decided to give this like a 10 out of 10 in creativity, but no if you are not strong enough or don't feel safe enough to kill these enemies. This is a fantastic place and I hope I get back here once I just stop testing these that I've been testing out later, yeah. Anyway, I kept with my journey through the desert in hopes I could reach what looked like some sort of highlands, you know, the green area. And I've encountered a couple of enemies like giant snakes and kudos, but I just did not want to fight for now. I decided to climb up again because it seems to be my most favorite thing to do in this game, and the most boring as well. So yes, I just wanted to see if the daytime will come, even though the sky was really pretty. And I kept looking at the map to see if I will be going in the right direction. I suppose that the dark brown area of the map was something that I should not give a try in going there for now until I get better gear and I'm more leveled up or something. So I decided just to go all the way around these rocks and put myself into a rock trouble until I reach a less warm place to be. And it looks like that the temperature on these biomes here did not affect me at all. I don't know if that's intended or not, but all I know is that I did not suffer from any type of heat stroke or anything, or even frostbite during my gameplay here. However, I'm not sure if in certain areas that can happen or not, or it's not supposed to happen, which is just good news for me then. Eventually I found some water, but with water sometimes bad stuff comes, bad or good stuff, in this case crocodiles. And since the last time I've seen a giant crocodile, I just got scared for life. So I'm like, no, I'm just gonna keep running until I'm out of breath, because I don't see much even with this torch, okay? So I don't know what's going to happen next if I eventually stop moving or something. And I found like some sort of point of interest. I could not see how many NPCs were there, so I'm like, am I gonna climb again or not? Not sure. Black Sail Guards. And the crocodiles are still after me, as I thought they would be, and I started to get shot by some archer, and I decided just to pass nearby the area, because I know that in the darkness and someone shooting at me, and yeah, this just meant trouble, really. I'm still like seeing if I could find like a loot chest or anything, but by looting it like completely, I'll put myself into more trouble because I'll become even more encumbered, and I'm like, no encumbrance for now, okay. I'm like getting already hit while trying to escape, so nope, there's like literally a lot of people after me, and no, I just kept going like nothing happened, you know. And then there's water. I feel safe inside the water. I've never felt safe inside water like I do now, for the first time, really. And when I thought I was crossing through some safe territory, then things started to get kind of bad when the dark of the night joins our friendly, not so friendly spiders. And that's when I decided to just keep running and running until I found some sort of safe place to be, which means more rocks, more and more rocks. And I spent several minutes, I don't know how long, climbing up rocks. It was dark as hell, and climbing in the dark is just one of the most dangerous things you can do in this game, alright? I just think I spent way too much time climbing things when I could just go all the way around these rocks, I guess. And then I found myself in another point of interest. I've seen a couple of enemies' health bars, and that means more trouble, but by looking at how much health points each of them have, this should be just like level 1, level 2 enemies, which I should not be worried about if it wasn't like nighttime and if they were not all together and I wasn't feeling so tired, okay? So, yeah, good excuse. But anyway, I decided to make more good use of my bow and arrows and decided to, let's say, wake them up, which was not a perfect idea. No, not at all. And why did I decide to eat that one to call their attention instead of just eat this under my feet? I have no idea why I did this. I'm just like testing out something. I don't know, but at this point I was really wasting arrows. And these are pretty easy to put on, come on. And I just decided to do this. I have no idea why. Maybe I could just try to attract one of them out of their spot, so I could kill them one by one. Okay, that will be working really fine for me. But I decided to put myself in the middle of them for whatever reason I've had and let myself hit, not because I wanted, because I didn't take the best decisions, and this proves that I'm not a great fighter, but it is extremely possible, it's very possible to take these guys down, okay, with this gear that I have, okay. I just wish it wasn't nighttime. But still in the daytime I probably will do the same crap. And then I've seen a jaguar, so I decided that they could fight each other instead of fighting me. But then I went all the way up and they kept chasing me. Some enemies are just not easy quitters, okay? And I was in the dark, so I know that something was going on between the Jaguar and the NPCs. I decided to wait a little more and see if they would all go away. And nope, no, they were still here, so I'm like, screw it, should I just go down this rock or up? I don't even know. Just way too dark to see. I really did wait some good time until they just quit and got back to their location. Alright, I just could not fight them all three here because I was already messing up. So, nope. Looks like I wasn't tired of climbing up, and eventually I found another point of interest, or at least someone was up there. And I felt like I was really going to the north side. So no more desert. I was just wondering what was going on up there. It seemed to be another human NPC camp. And the amount of health they hold, I think it's something that I should avoid unless there was only one of them in there. But I think I should still give a try, okay? I could not just keep evading combat like so often, because that's ridiculous and that's not the proper way of testing if my thoughts are right or not. If it's possible to really survive on the Savage Wilds, at least with just the basic stuff and the things that you pick up on your way. So yes, I decided to take them out one by one, or at least tried, kind of. I was still trying at this point to think about some sort of tactics to take them out one by one, but eventually one of them fell from the rock, and I think that kind of worked. It was not my intention to do it this way, but I think it was fine. And now there's a fight between a cook and some knives. But looks like I decided to use my meat hammer for a little while. Like in the Exile lands, the more up north you go, the more tough the enemies are. So I suppose that's what happens here. but not so tough when they are dead, right? And I can see an elite in there. So I guess my arrows are going to make some holes again.
A shadow in the mist.
Or maybe not. We'll see. So we have 2 enemies here. It's actually working to try to kill this guy, but then something weird happens, and that's when I realize that I'm wasting my arrows. So while this enemy was losing health points in the beginning, it was not losing anymore. It quickly recovered the health, and they just stood in there like they were bugged. Except for the woman that showed up later, the one at the right side. And I'm like, something is not right, okay? They are not losing health. So at this point, I was becoming frustrated because I knew that I could take them down if this was properly working. But no. I don't know where the other enemy went to, but then she decided to try to attack me after waking up. And yes, these guys looked immortal, except for this cook. And kinda sucks that I keep turning my back on the enemy. Never underestimate the daggers, okay? They make you performing fast attacks and make you bleed often, so... When you find an angry cook, you may be in trouble. Well, at least it's becoming daytime finally. And I'm taking so long to kill her that I just decided to run away and see if I could recover my health. So she's leaving, she just quit because this combat, this fight was so boring and I was not a worthy opponent after all. I see if I could give it another try to kill at least the elite enemy. Well, looks like they are not bugged anymore.
There, a shadow in the
And
mist.
taking damage finally again. But then some more joined the party, so I'm like, nope. I think I'm just gonna leave this one for later, because I wasn't doing anything useful, so I think I should keep running up north. I wanna at least reach the snow area. Now I can bandage myself safely and proceed with my journey. until I started getting chased again. Yeah, by lynx. But then I had the idea of luring the lynx to the human's camp. But then there were 2 lynx and not only 1. And I wasn't being careful enough, so I almost died at this point. There was a spear in there, which I totally ignored. And nope, this just did not work well for me, and for some reason I did not die. It was just pure luck at this point. I feel like this part of my gameplay was really embarrassing, but I decided to still share it with the world somehow, and then I killed myself. Not on purpose, but it looks like almost, because I just wasn't strong enough to grab more rocks. I was tired of climbing, and then I went back and picked up my loot from my corpse. And then I kept climbing and more climbing. And explored wonderful places. But my journey wasn't over yet. I found myself in this wonderful place with these lakes, and decided to stop for a little while, take a little break, pick up more aloe plants, because I suppose that I will need a lot more extract later. Very peaceful place, but it was time to leave. And I have a few more moments of inventory management because of my weight problems. And I'm finally seeing the snow, but then I also see a huge amount of mountains, and I'm like, more climbing, really? Well, I could not even climb this, and I was wondering why. And then I saw this little spot here, which was just another fast traveling point.
Tidings, traveler.
But almost everything comes at a cost.
May you always find water.
It was good to unlock this one here, though. And finally, snow. But with snow, there's trouble too. So I ran quite a lot and decided to grab some more food to keep going. I started to find more points of interest,
saw something.
I decided just to study this camp to see how it was, how many enemies were here, if there was any loot chest exposed. I've noticed there were a couple of books near the bonfire. And the hut. I could not get into the hut without getting killed for sure, so I ignored it. But at this point, I wasn't sure if I should really take a risk. I still learned specialist cooking feat, which was cool, even though I'll not craft a stove. And then a few more enemies shown up. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna run, maybe. Maybe I could kill a couple of them if they were not like in a big group after me. There are only 2 now, so I'm gonna give it a try. Okay, that was a little painful. Northern people are very angry ones. Really, at this point I was just getting tired and not really sure if I should like kill them. They probably would drop some cool gear pieces, okay, much better than the ones that I have. And I'm now bare feet, and somehow it's just kind of dark around here. But I was wondering if I should be quitting or not. The other guy somehow left. He was too bored to kill me, so... I decided to change the weapon, but I really sucked on this one, and then there is a second enemy with a spear. Even though the spear is not my favorite weapon, it has the ability of reaching you from a longer distance. Yes, that's like one of the few advantages of the spear. This enemy put me into big trouble because of that. I just don't know why it took me so long to remember that drinking water would make my stamina go up faster. And then the woman with the spear disappeared, and I kept fighting this one, and well, I just got this. Yeah, well, at least it just helped me with some more experience points, I suppose. It took a while for this, but it was still very possible, as you can see, even if I performed poorly during the fight. Just need to take them down one at a time.
Stop skulking like a surviving thief.
And then I try messing up with more enemies. And this one was standing still. I think she was also bugged. And until she started screaming, and I decided to fight her too. And she was the one with the spear. When I realized that I was almost dead and messing things up, kind of, I decided to try to escape. Temporarily, at least. No, I'm almost dead, really. Imagine if I was bleeding, I would die instantly, almost. She's still after me. Well, until she quit, even from fighting me, so yeah. It's kind of boring fighting against me, or see me fighting at times. But yes, I think I spent a couple of hours on this, so I really needed a break. Well, I still tried to go back and bother one enemy, but I got back to my favorite task, climbing. And so anyway, I decided to stay here because it was just too dark to keep going, and eventually, yes, I was physically tired and wasn't feeling so well, so I decided to go to sleep after this interesting adventure. And my answer to the question that I've had, if it was possible really to keep going through this map or even other maps without having to craft the important crafting stations and get better gear by yourself instead of just looting things from the map. Yes, that's really possible, and I think you can win the game like this. It is much more tough, okay? The game just becomes way harder, and if you wanna fight certain kinds of enemies, go to like dungeons or something. I strongly advise you to keep exploring the area and, looting weaker camps until you eventually slowly reach higher levels and spend more attribute points and get some, luck with certain NPCs that maybe drop some sort of heavy armor. I don't know, but if you're gonna try to go for something like this, keep at it, okay? Don't quit. I think it's quite possible even in this kind of map. Thank you so much for watching this. It took me several hours to put this up, even though maybe I could have done better, yes, but guess no one's perfect. So goodbye and have a wonderful day or night wherever you are.